I am really honored to be here today, and as one of the sponsors of this event, very delighted to see all of you in the room. How many of you learned something new from the video? Show of hands. Anyone? A few people. That's great. And some raising two hands. How many of you recognize yourselves as a micro business? Are there any micro businesses in the room? Okay, a lot of people are micro businesses, which means, of course, that as you saw, a micro business is one that is a small business with 5 or fewer employees. Now, we know that micro businesses make up nearly 92% of all the businesses in this country. 92%, and that rate is growing every day. African American businesses, 99% of African American owned businesses across this country are micro businesses. So micro is important. Micro businesses, we think, are fabulous because they are and have been the backbone of this country in terms of creating economic activity across the nation, but particularly in our communities. They are the job creators in our communities, and therefore they're vitally important. In fact, if 1 in 3 Main Street micro businesses hired just one employee, the country would be at full employment. 1 in 3. Not all 25 million of these micro businesses need to hire, but if just 1 in 3 hired, one person, we could create enough jobs to bring this country to full employment. So what has to happen for us to make that aspiration a reality? Well, of course, what needs to happen is that we need to change the way capital and services flow to entrepreneurs like you in this room. AEO, the National Trade Association for U.S. Microfinance and Microbusiness, works every day to change the way capital and services flow. With a network of more than 450 organizational members and partners across the country, and particularly what you care about here in Georgia, our member organizations are working to provide you the important, what I call the 4 C's to your success: capital, capacity, connections, and confidence. Now, we know you are here mostly to talk about capital, but these organizations throughout Atlanta, Savannah, Albany, throughout the state of Georgia in particular, are providing you with the services, the business support services that you need to increase your capacity to manage your finances better, to increase your capacity to know how to talk to those bankers you heard on this first panel, to help give them what they need to make the best decision in your favor. Now, I know some of you say, I am too busy running my company to go deal with some nonprofit organization who says they may be able to help me. But let me try to give you one more factor that might change your mind. In a study conducted by AEO, we found that businesses who received capital and business support services from these trusted nonprofit organizations increased their revenues 30 percentage points higher than entrepreneurs who only received capital. Now, if I could tell you how to increase your revenues by 30 percentage points higher than the person next door to you who only went to the bank and maybe got some capital, don't you think it's kind of worth your time and effort? Yeah, I see some heads nodding. I agree. So I really want you to think about all the opportunities, all the ways that you can access these resources to really move your business forward. Here in Georgia, we have a network of organizations that receive support from the Georgia Microenterprise Network. I encourage you to get involved, contact G-Men. Later today, you will hear from two of our member organizations who have capital to provide. I think they're also in the marketplace here. ACE Loans is one of those organizations. Another organization here that you will hear from today is the Edge Connection. For some of you who are looking for that elusive startup capital, one of our other member organizations is called Kiva, kiva.com. You can access kiva.com, for example, through the Edge Connection. So there is valuable information, not just capital, but getting you ready for capital, helping you expand that capital, helping you to expand your organization, your business company, so that you can start, thrive, grow, and importantly to our communities, hire. As you think about what you need to start a business or to grow your business, I want you to be able to consider not only thinking just about the capital services you need, but think about everything that's needed to really be successful in business. I mentioned those 4 C's. I mentioned the connections as one of those C's. There is no greater source of power than having a powerful, influential network. Those connections come from all different places. These nonprofit, trusted, effective organizations on the ground throughout Georgia, throughout the country, can really help you get the connections you need to be successful. Recently, AEO launched the 1 in 3 campaign. We believe so strongly that this country can be changed by the power that you hold to create jobs and to grow businesses throughout the country, that we're investing millions of dollars over the next 5 years to support micro businesses and the growth of micro businesses. Through the 1 in 3 campaign, we're using those resources to increase awareness about the fact that micro businesses make up the majority of businesses in this country. We're using those resources to also bring greater investment to the micro business space and to this market so that you have access to greater resources. We're very proud that Dun Bradstreet Credibility Corp is a member of our 1 in 3 campaign, and it's why we agreed to partner on these wonderful, wonderful forums to highlight the availability of capital, but more importantly, to highlight what's needed, what you actually have to do to get yourself ready to use that capital. How many of you recognize the need for not only capital, but for services to move your business forward? How many of you have had success in getting those services? So I saw, for those of you looking this way, you can't see what I see. I saw a lot of hands go up in terms of, yes, I recognize the need for these services, but a very, very few hands went up in terms of having access or being able to have used those services. So we have to do more. Our campaign is really focused on raising the awareness that there are resources out there for you. I was listening backstage to some of the questions that were raised about, how do I get, what will be considered for my collateral? How can I get funding at the idea early stage that I'm at? And those were nice answers. I don't know who said what, because again, I didn't see, I could just hear. I really like the person who said they were going to tell you the truth, and that the reality is they're going to look for what you can repay. And so most of the time, startups fall outside of that. Don't be discouraged. There are resources coming to bear. At AEO, again, we're trying to bring a brand new platform called Tilt Forward. Tilt Forward will provide access to capital for working capital, unsecured. That means we're not looking at collateral. But what it does mean is that you have to be in business for at least 6 months. You have to have good cash flow, but then we're able to give you working capital up to $250,000. Now, to make that happen, we need to bring not only greater investment into the marketplace, but we also have to bring new changes in policy. So part of the work that AEO does, not only increasing awareness, not only trying to create new ways to access capital, but because we are based in Washington, D.C., we also work on bringing changes to policies that will allow greater access to capital for businesses like those here in this room. So I want to invite you, as I begin to wrap up, I really want to invite you to join the 1 in 3 campaign. You can learn more about the campaign at www.onein3.biz. It will teach you more about what we're trying to do with the campaign, our vision to reach over 1 million businesses over the next 3 to 5 years and create 500,000 jobs. Because again, not every business wants to grow. Not every micro business has to create additional jobs. If 1 in 3 just adds 1 employee, this country would be at full employment. Maybe the 1 in the 3 is right here in this room. Maybe there's 1 at every table. We can do this. We can start in our communities, we can start here in Georgia, and we can change this country and we can create the jobs that we need. Work with us, work with your local organization, find G-Men, find the organization in your community by going to www.aeoworks.org, which is our home base website. But just trust me, there are organizations in this country, in this room, in this state, that can help you succeed. It takes you finding them, it takes you going to them, and bringing them into your company as your trusted advisor. I wish you much continued success. I'm so glad that you're here and taking advantage of this opportunity to find out about those resources. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.